Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Heartbeat of Bartlett. I'm Maria McLendon with First South Financial, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this episode. Every episode of the Heartbeat of Bartlett is a very, very special episode indeed, but today we have an extra special episode because the two guests are two people that I admire very, very much. My former boss, John Threadgill, president of the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce, and my current boss, Dr. Craig Esrael, CEO of First South Financial Credit Union. And it's kind of a full circle moment for me because these two wonderful men are the reason that I actually am in my current role that I'm in. So very, very excited to talk to both of these gentlemen. And to kick things off, I will actually ask John to go ahead and introduce himself.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And it's a pleasure to be here. My name is John Threadgill, as Maria said, and I'm president of the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce. And I've been in this position for quite some time now. In fact, Craig he's been with me almost the entire time. Mm-hmm. But my background is economic development. That's where I got my start with the state of Tennessee back in the 1980s out of Nashville, working international. And then I came to Memphis in 1990 to head up the international program at the Memphis Chamber. And then I found myself out in Bartlett in 2006. So I've been there ever since, and it's been a joy. And it was a real joy to have Maria working with me. Maria, I'm sorry I lost you, but I'm glad Craig got you.
May the best man win.
I had so much fun. You know that I had so much fun
working
at the Bartlett Area Chamber.
But you are having more fun now.
And I because of that experience, I met you, Dr. Craig, and I mean, literally doing my dream job now. So
our dream too, having you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Very, very lucky.
Well, Craig, let's hear about your background.
Yes, Dr. Craig, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. How much do you want to know?
We want to know it all.
So I grew up in Wisconsin in a little town called Okauchee, which is right outside of Oconomowoc and not far from Pewaukee and Waukesha. So everybody knows where that is,
yes.
right?
I forgot,
very
but
familiar
now I
with
remember,
Waukesha.
yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
no KG? Okay, G.
But seriously, after going to the University of Wisconsin, I actually was recruited to come here to First South Financial, and really thought I was coming just for a short period of time. Thought it was a nice little getaway, a trip. And here I am, over 40 years later, still the CEO at First South Financial. And we've transitioned pretty dramatically. When I started, we had 6 quarters of financial losses. Things were pretty bad, but the economy had been really, really horrific in those 80s. You remember that, John,
yeah.
those early 80s, Great Recession there. But since then, we totally resurrected financially. Now we're one of the strongest financial institutions in the nation, one of the top 1%. But more importantly, I think we've had a cultural transformation. Mm-hmm. And our tagline is banking with friends, and I think that says it all. We really do view the people that bank with us as friends, and I think overall they view us as friends as well. Mm-hmm. It's a trusting relationship, and I think that's probably the secret sauce to our success. But early in my career, I realized the importance of the community and, of course, the Chamber of Commerce. As we like to be thought of as the nucleus of the banking world here locally, the Chamber of Commerce is the nucleus of the community, I think. They bring the businesses together, the people together, get us all working together for our mutual advancement and success. So, John, thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your support. You've been very supportive of our chamber and of me, so I appreciate that very much.
So, sitting here with these two powerhouses made me a little bit nervous. And normally at the beginning of the introduction, at the beginning of the show, I talk about how the Heartbeat of Bartlett is dedicated to the small businesses of Bartlett and how small businesses are the heartbeat of every community. But I'm glad that I missed saying that at the beginning, because then it allows me to say now that, as much as small businesses are the heartbeat of any community, a chamber of commerce is the heartbeat of a business community. And, there's many local chambers all around the greater Memphis area, and there's also the greater Memphis chamber as well. But they're all a little bit different. The way they operate are all a little bit different. And many people, I think that a chamber is about networking lunches and happy hours. But I know that you don't think that, John. I know that you think that there's much more that a chamber is responsible for. So why don't you talk to us a little bit and talk to the audience a little bit about what the focus of the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce is?
Sure. Well, networking is a part of it, but it's not the only part. And the misnomer I think a lot of people have about chambers of commerce is they're an arm of government, which we're definitely not an arm of government. And another thing that most people do not realize about a chamber of commerce is that every chamber of commerce in this country is autonomous. There is no mother organization that we report to. There is no organization that tells us what we must do. We are all responsible for our own mission, our vision, and leaders like Craig Esrael here, who's our current chairman, and he chairs the board, and the board is responsible for making certain that we're doing what the board wants us to do. But our primary function is to help grow the community. I mean, a chamber of commerce, a good chamber of commerce, if they're doing their job, is all about growing the community. And that means supporting the existing industry and attracting new industry into the area. And it's a full-time job. I've been at the Bartlett Chamber for, plus 16 years. I was at the Memphis Chamber before that. It is a full-time job. It's a never-ceasing task to try to lure businesses in and to keep our local businesses happy and make certain that they are doing the business that they need to make a profit and all that. So anyway, Chamber of Commerce is all about growing the business community and making certain that the business environment is capable of making certain that the businesses do grow. So that's kind of what we do. And
I mean, Dr. Craig, you are a ferocious advocate of the chambers of commerce in particular, but really the Bartlett Area Chamber. And you mentioned when you were talking earlier that without a chamber of commerce, without a financial institution like First South Financial, nucleuses of the community could not thrive. Can you talk a little bit about why chamber involvement is so important for business and why we as First South Financial have made such a strong investment in the Bartlett Area Chamber?
Well, I think investment is the key word, Maria. People think about giving money to the chamber, their dues. And, we had a conversation recently about the return on investment. And, somebody said, well, there probably isn't really a return on the investment. And there is. The return on the investment of our contributions to the chambers is a voice. It's a unified voice. We as one financial institution may not be able to get the state legislature to move, but as a group we can. It's a formidable force in the cities, in the states, and sometimes even in the nation. So, it's that power that we have together with a collective voice that makes the Chamber of Commerce so powerful. And I really think we wouldn't be nearly as far along as a business community as we are without our chambers of commerce, and particularly the Bartlett Chamber, John.
Well, I appreciate that. Every chamber who is worth its weight in salt is thinking about the business community. A good chamber of commerce is the voice of the business community, a voice of the private sector. And you know, communities must have a good functional government, but it must also have a strong business community. And that's what the Chamber of Commerce is all about. We're all about making certain that our business community has the assets and the support of the community and the business community and the support of government. And so we do serve as a voice. We are fortunate, our Chamber of Commerce is fortunate because we have a broad, diverse representation of the business community. We have a very strong board of directors who represent a vast array of businesses. In fact, just this week, and I don't know if y'all know about this, but the Tennessee Manufacturers Association is having a contest first time this year called Manufacturing is Cool. And so when I heard about this, and we're a member of the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I thought, well, gee, we've got a lot of cool industries in Bartlett. Mm-hmm. In fact, we're probably the coolest town in the state of Tennessee when it comes to manufacturing. So I made certain that we had at least 3 or 4 of our manufacturers in Bartlett participate in this contest. And so they've made the cut. And well, of course, this will probably be over with by the time this airs. But hopefully, when you do see this podcast, we may have a couple of our businesses represented as cool manufacturers. And hopefully, I'm hoping that one of our businesses will win the statewide contest. Anyway,
you got to talk about which of these cool businesses you're talking about.
Well, and cool banks,
right?
Bankers.
Right.
I mean, Maria, I feel left out.
I know, I do too.
Well, it's cool banks too, but this is all about manufacturing. It's all about manufacturers. But I mean, you think about it. You got American Paper Optics, who makes the Eclipse glasses, the 3D glasses. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
You got Memphis Record Pressing that makes vinyl records, one of the largest producers
really cool.
of vinyl records. That's real cool. Then you got people like Grace Medical, who makes ear implants. They make the little stirrup that goes in the eardrum and the anvil and all that stuff. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And none of them can do it without financing. Yeah. And the coolest place to get financing is for South Financial.
Touche. John, you talked about the chamber being independent of government, but you and the mayor of Bartlett have a really good relationship. I mean, it's symbiotic. You support city government. They, of course, are proponents and supporters of the chamber.
Right.
Not financially, or they are to a degree financially, but it's really that working together that helps get things done. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Chamber of Commerce has to work with local government and state government, for that matter, and even federal government. The business community cannot function in a silo. It cannot function by itself. It needs the support of of government, and government needs the support of business. Now think about it, folks. Where does government get its funding to do the things it does? Well, it gets it from people who pay property taxes. And who are people who pay property taxes and sales taxes and all these other taxes? Well, it's the private sector. And the business community supports government. Government could not exist without the private sector. So the government wants to make certain, if it's a good government, that it's doing the things that will continue to grow the economy. And so we maintain a very good relationship with the city officials in Bartlett, as well as county government, try to attempt to, state government as well, because we want to make certain that our businesses are being thought about and their concerns are being addressed. So we maintain a very good relationship with the government.
So we talked a little bit about how chambers of commerce provide an opportunity for business to have a collective voice. Talk a little bit about how, in addition to allowing businesses to have a collective voice, it allows individuals to have a collective voice.
individuals in the business community?
Yeah, individual members of the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, well, I mean, if they take advantage of what the Chamber offers, then yes, they can definitely have a voice. Individual voices are heard through a lot of our different mediums, networking events, but our workshops and just all types of ways that the individual business person, but the individual as well can be appreciated, can be reviewed or to be seen in the community, and to be to be appreciated, I guess, is the main point I'm trying to get across.
John, let me make a point, if I could, with what you're saying. Recently, the last few meetings, we've had senators and legislators meeting with the board, and the board has had a lot of questions on crime. Well, it's affecting their businesses, it's affecting their life, it's affecting the image of the community. And that's a great place for the questions that have arose regarding crime and how they're taking action to mitigate it and their support of mitigating it.
Yes. Well, get back to your point, Maria. I see where you're coming from on that. I mean, I think the point that you want me to get across is that how can the general public, but primarily our business leaders, how can they have a voice in communicating to government or whoever, the community in broadly speaking? So yes, we do provide that opportunity. I mean, it's different venues, different ways to go about doing that. But like for example, our board of directors that Craig chairs. I mean, that you have 25 board members, but they're all individuals. They represent businesses, but they are all individuals and they have concerns, whether it represents the concerns of the business or represents their individual concerns. And yes, when we have our elected officials speak to our board, then the board can ask questions directly. When we have our monthly membership meetings, then whoever our speakers are, they get asked many questions. So yes, it's a good opportunity for that type thing. If that's
well, and I mean the point that I was kind of getting at too is that involvement in a chamber. It serves so many needs for individuals. It serves so many needs for businesses and for the business community. But and businesses absolutely should make an investment in their local chamber of commerce because there is a tangible return that comes back to them. But I think it's also important for employees of businesses ultimately to get involved in chamber activities. And we've talked about this in previous shows. And so our regular viewers, primarily my mom, who's a big fan of the Heartbeat of Bartlett, will know that we talk frequently about how the Bartlett community is a very unique community in that there is a vested interest within community members to take care of this town and to take care of the people within this town. And that translates to chamber membership as well. The businesses that are involved, the individuals, employees that are involved in the Chamber of Commerce have a vested interest in taking care of their peers, their colleagues within the chamber. So the point that I was kind of getting at, and you did both mention it, is that participation in the chamber gives you opportunities to see and be seen by local leadership, but it also gives you the opportunity to form intimate connections one-on-one with others in the business community that allow you to grow personally and to grow yourself professionally as well.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, you've got board meetings, which I mentioned, but you've also got luncheons, you've got mixers, and where else are business leaders and basically all the citizens having a shot to talk directly to legislators, to senators, to mayors, and again, have their voice heard. It really is, it's really a democratic channeling of voice to the people that make these decisions, which without the chamber, that forum wouldn't exist.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to form connections with people who you wouldn't come across in your day-to-day business. You wouldn't come across some of these people, and it's at the last chamber meeting. The speaker was the CEO the new CEO of St. Francis Hospital. You'll have to help me with the name, Sherman Stewart. And he told a great story about how they're bringing emotional connection back to the operations of St. Francis Hospital, and had the opportunity to just go up and shake his hand and introduce myself and have a conversation, whereas I might not normally have the opportunity to interact with the CEO of a regional hospital.
Yeah. St. Francis, yeah. And a good time to put a plug in. Boy, they are doing great things in our community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like to tell people that a good Chamber of Commerce, what we do best is facilitate. We bring people together. We bring the business community together, okay? Because think about it. How does the business community know each other? Well, they really don't, because most business people, if they're hard at work, and there goes my phone, if they're hard at work, they're focused on their business and making a profit. We're gonna be able to edit that out, or what?
No, it's one of your constituents. You better answer.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, so facilitating is a very important aspect of what a chamber is all about. So you think about it, the board meeting, for an example, our board, we have 25 elected board members. Most of those guys, when they show up for the first meeting, they don't know one another. Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of, me and the staff is always kind of amazed at how these folks don't know each other, because we know them all. Okay. Because we deal with them, but they come into the room and they're, well, who's this guy and who's that? So we bring them together. Okay. And just for dialogue purposes, or just so that they get to know each other. We did the same thing with the medical device industry. The medical device industry, when we brought them together, they did not realize the extent of their industry in Bartlett or even in Memphis, Shelby County. And so we helped bring them together. Now, facilitating not only the business community, but also government with business. And so we're the guys that try to bridge that gap between government and the business community. Because believe it or not, the government officials are not as in tune to the business community, because they're focused on their own thing, right? Picking up the sewer, picking up the trash and providing sewer and all these different things. So
filling in the potholes.
Yes, if they're doing that well. Yes. So anyway, that's one of the main roles of a Chamber of Commerce. And so we're sort of in a lot of ways too, when somebody's looking, a business community or business rather, is looking at the community, who do they go to first? Who's their first source of contact? Well,
it should be their local Chamber of Commerce.
It should be.
Yeah. But you talk about business leaders not knowing each other, and it surprises you, but it doesn't surprise me. We're all busy. I mean, we work long days. After working 10 or 12 hours. You don't have a chance just to go down to Brother and pop in and have a cup of coffee, or go to St. Francis Hospital and shoot the breeze. We're all busy.
Right.
Without the chamber, again, it wouldn't happen. You're not going to make time.
Not to say we're drinking coffee all the time and all of that.
I'm not pointing any fingers.
It's not. It depends on the time of day.
I just hope it's coffee.
It depends on the time of day. It's coffee in the morning, cocktails in the afternoon, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, but I mean, speaking of which, I think there is, when you talk about what Dr. Craig was saying earlier about truly making an investment in the chamber, right? It's not a donation to the chamber. It's not making a contribution to the chamber. It's making an investment in the chamber. And then talking about what you were saying, John, in terms of the chamber being a facilitator. If you were making an investment in something, you have to put something in order to get something out. So it's not just enough to make a dollar contribution. You have to show up. And when you show up at these different opportunities that are presented by the chamber, that's when you are able to make those connections.
Yeah.
And that's when you're able to build those relationships and you're able to identify. So you were talking about the medical device industry, not knowing that they had such strong presence and influence in this marketplace. When you bring them together, they recognize what their commonalities are. They recognize what challenges they're facing together, and they have they then can put together a unified voice to chase what they're after.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well said.
Yep. So talking a little bit about all of the opportunities there are for people to engage, can you share a little bit about what's upcoming at the chamber?
Well, summer break. No, I mean, we have, of course, monthly meetings. Well, not monthly, they're every other month. We have membership meetings, and then we have business after hours, and they alternate monthly. But
shameless plug, the First South Financial is the sponsor of all business after hours.
Excuse me, who?
First South Financial Credit Union.
Thank you.
And who are they again?
They are the strongest financial institution in the state of Tennessee. And when you bank with them, it's like banking with friends.
By the way, First South, are they located just in Bartlett and Memphis area?
That's it. I'm out of here.
They're located in other locations too.
We
right?
are. We have 16 locations in the greater Memphis area, and we are in Nashville as well.
Nashville.
Jackson.
Jackson and Nashville.
Dyersburg.
Yep.
See?
North Mississippi.
That exactly.
Yep.
I think of all of those is the greater Memphis area, though.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So getting back to other functions, well, we just finished the expo, which was very well attended. And let's see, we've got the golf tournament coming up. We've got, the big deal, the Christmas Bartlett Festival. Bartlett, what do we call that? The Bartlett Christmas
Market, I think.
Market, yes. There we go. Thank you.
Exactly what I was going to say.
That's where I guess we're going to be in our 4th or 5th year of that, and that thing has grown every year. That's a big deal.
People love it.
Yeah, they do. And we did it, and we're doing it in cooperation with the city of Bartlett too. They like it so much they actually, I think, did their Christmas tree lighting with us. You were there, Maria.
Yeah.
You got to introduce everybody and
I did.
lit the tree, didn't you?
Well, as is evidenced by the show, I take every opportunity to talk to a crowd.
Well, I know that shyness of yours does come out occasionally.
Yeah.
She's come out of her shell.
Yeah.
But from your great tutelage, of course.
Talking about businesses, new businesses coming into the community, I think about Bluff City Pickleball,
Yes.
Going into Malco. And it seemed like the first place they stopped to make their announcement was the chamber.
Yes.
And the chamber board meeting, and got commitments right at the board meeting, and support. And I'd like to think that a big part of their success is that early engagement with the chamber.
Well, they did approach us.
Yeah.
I mean, very early on, and let us know.
Yeah.
So and that's been a very wonderful story. Actually, I mean, if you get involved with John and his wife and how they got that thing going and their insights and all that. But anyway,
Maria's kind of gone almost pro pickleball.
I can't play very often because I put everyone else to shame. So, got to
Really?
be very humble about it. But, previous episode of The Heartbeat of Bartlett focuses on John and Leslie Daniel and their story behind bringing Bluff City Pickleball. So it's a good episode.
Yeah, but smart people that knew what to do in starting their business. They knew that the point of reference was the chamber, and that's where they really wanted to kick things off, the business community, because, they'd tell their employees and the word would spread, and indeed it has.
And, I think one point to get across, because I know that for John, the chamber is very serious business. It's serious work that has a very serious mission within the community. And absolutely that is important. But I think it's important for everybody to know that participating in chamber activities is fun. It's so much fun. any fun
make it
stories.
fun,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I've loved the Bartlett Area Chamber for as long as I've been associated with it. Again, for the active audience of this show, I think everyone knows that, you know, my best friends were formed from relationships that I made at the Chamber of Commerce. My current employment status is due to...
True.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, the best parts of your life.
Absolutely the best part. I mean, truly. And I mean, I'm being effusive on camera right now, but the opportunity to come to First South Financial, like, changed my life.
And ours.
Yeah, I mean, changed my life. So those are all incredible opportunities that stem from the chamber, but it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun to engage with the people who care as much about your community as you do.
Well, you know, the takeaway from a Chamber of Commerce and what you did, Maria, when you was with us, and what Craig does as our chairman and complete support of the Chamber, and always have been, is the feel-good aspect of it. I mean, we're doing something for the community. I mean, we're really concerned about the well-being of Bartlett. We care about the future of Bartlett. We want to make certain that Bartlett grows and prospers. And that's our role. That's our function.
Yeah, I think another huge success story is St. Francis Hospital.
Yeah.
You know, we wrote letters appealing for St. Francis to come to Bartlett. No doubt those letters had a huge bearing on them locating where they are. And I know every board meeting at St. Francis now, they have dollar figures on what they've contributed to the community. It's huge. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars that them being in the Bartlett community contribute to the betterment of all of us. And I think it started with those letters, and it started with the chamber connection and building a groundswell of support to bring the hospital to our community. So not only do we have great medical care, we've got tax dollars and other dollars coming into the community that make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, countless success stories like that.
Countless.
Well, I guess it depends on how high you can go.
Well, I think you both can count pretty high. So amazingly, we are at the end of our time. I mean, every show, it seems like the time goes by so fast because we're just having so much fun talking to one another. So as we're wrapping up, John, do you have a final comment that you want to leave our audience with?
Well, just I appreciate the opportunity to get in front of our audience and tell them about the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, you know, I do another podcast called Made in Bartlett, and it's focused on the manufacturers of the companies in Bartlett. And so I'm always the MC or the guy doing the interview. So now I'm kind of putting this spot like, oh, gee, I've got to answer questions instead of coming up with them. But no, I appreciate the opportunity to be next to my boss here, who's in his fourth and final year, I think, right now. Well,
Yes.
But just for our audience, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, and I think I know we were all serious about what we were talking about, the passion that we all have, all three of us have, for the Bartlett community and making certain that it's growing and prospering and all that. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be in front of y'all.
It was a lot of fun. I'm really thrilled to be able to have this conversation. Dr. C, any final thoughts? That you
Enjoyed it. Time's gone fast, but thanks to John and the Chamber, and I hope you continue banking with friends.
Well, I certainly will.
I will too.
Me too.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So thank you for watching this episode of The Heartbeat of Bartlett, which is brought to you, of course, by the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by First South Financial Credit Union. And we have to thank our amazing production crew from V2 Media. Couldn't make it happen without them. So thank you very much. And the Heartbeat of Bartlett podcast can be found anywhere that you consume podcasts. So that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, really wherever you go to get your podcasts, you can find us. And when you find us, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Ring-a-ding-ding. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.